G'day folks, it's on the internet, it's the most must-see and subscribe to going here on YouTube, Bruzo Dragonius. As you already know, that in the last video of Argonian.POV, I have talked about free speech and explained what it's about, and even though that yes, it's something that I am a firm believer of it. Because I do realise that you don't have to be a right-wing or left-wing to even be a firm believer of free speech and an advocate for free speech. But as I promised from the last video of Argonian.POV, free speech, I'm going to talk to you about the opposition of the free speech and all that kind of stuff. The opposite of free speech. And that is something that many of the media, basically mainstream media, or some of the influencers and all that kind of stuff, were talking to a lot about, especially here in Australia, and that is hate speech. Now, if you don't know what hate speech is, basically, hate speech is basically when you say something disrespectful or mean and all that kind of stuff to a person about their race, their gender, their sexuality, their ideologies and all that kind of stuff, or their political leaning, or basically about their disabilities as well. Sometimes hate speech can be seen as an unintentional, as in you don't like the person because of what they stand for and all that kind of stuff. Maybe it could be a complete arsehole that you don't like, right? Maybe that is unintentional. Like, for instance, that you probably would say the absolute truth that a certain country is committing genocide against another country. I'm going to talk what I mean about it and all that kind of stuff later on. But nowadays, if you say, for instance, that Israel is killing and committing genocide against innocent Palestinians using the excuse of Hamas, that to some group of people, legally speaking, and I know for sure that I don't really get that, is committing hate. They see that sort of thing as anti-Semitism, right? Because you got to realise that there are so many Zionists out there, there's so many right-wing Zionists, that ever since October 7, and more so ever since the Bondi attack that happened last month before Christmas, in a Hanukkah festival, that they're trying to prescribe any criticism of Israel, as in the country, as in the government, and even with their crimes, as hate speech. And it is possible, actually no, and it is very much proven, like in most countries, whether it's Germany, the US, the UK, and almost nearly all those Western countries are trying to outlaw pro-Palestine protests. Because the fact being is that they see them as anti-Semitic hate march. I know for sure that as I talked about the Bondi massacre video and all that kind of stuff, even to last year, which is the very last video, I mentioned that it is completely effed up, because even though that it's not just a terrorist attack from towards the Australian Jewish community, but to me, it is an attack on all Australians in general. And it doesn't matter on what religion that you are, and I know for sure that yes, it's very close to home. But ever since then, they ended up putting a royal commission. If you don't know what a royal commission is, basically, let's put it in layman's terms that I would think of, that in Australia, a royal commission is just basically an investigation and into whatever topic. Say for instance that there's a lot of official federal investigations on a certain topic, where it's like the investigation on like the Royal Commission of the anti-Semitism leading to the Bodna massacre is, well, basically it is just a formal investigation basically. So that is my like, I'm not a lawyer. Like, I am not, I'm not really into this law and what I mean. They are putting out these hate crime laws that is sort of, to many of us, whether you're right wing or left wing, where basically we're getting near to the fact that if I say anything against Israel law, truth or not, that I could be in a lot of trouble. I could have cops knocking on my door and all that kind of stuff, and probably arresting me and all that kind of stuff. And God knows. I know for sure that next month that there's a lot of outrage in Australia about an Israeli diplomat coming here to Australia to, even though that he himself committed hate speech towards the Palestinians, even selling bombs, which is hate speech in its own definition, ended up coming and trying to, and I quote, comforting the Australian Jewish community. But to be honest with you, not many Jews do agree with what Israel's doing. Hell, not even, and I've seen some protests in Tel Aviv or Yaffo that is protesting against the genocide of the Palestinians, but like I said, they're trying to outlaw those things as well. We are living in such a manner that hate speech and free speech can be can be interpreted to other people's definition. And this is the type of society that we are. How can I put this? That there's going to be a lot of laws that will be impair our right to free speech, even more so. We're not allowed to say globalise the infantata, or like out in public, as to some it's asking for the extermination and genocide of Jews, which isn't what that thing is about, to my understanding. Right, calling out from the river to the sea as hate speech or from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, could be considered as hate speech, as what Benjamin Netanyahu did once compare that to some Nazi saying. Some Nazi chant that I am not going to end up putting on this video, but even though that all of this is just a liberation of the Palestinian people and having the same and equal treatment in Palestine or those territories, to live in peace among with the Jews. That's what many of us people do want. But people do see this as hate speech. But the thing about it is that there's some right wingers, even, and they say that hate speech can lead to extremism. Yeah, it is proven, right? But I'm not saying an extremism leads to terrorism and all that kind of stuff. There are so many examples of hate speech in the Australia Day, the Invasion Day rallies, where an Aboriginal, he does seem to have a very valid point, and ended up burning the Australian flag. But yet, there's so much right-wing extremism that happened in Perth, where someone ended up throwing a homemade pipe bomb into the crowd at an Invasion Day rally. There has been numerous people that have been here in Australia that have been disallowed in coming into this country because of their views of what they posted on social media and all that kind of stuff. And I would name a whole list of them. I know this is free speech of what I said about Trump, right? That apparently if you said anything against Trump over there in America, especially as a foreigner, that is legally deemed over there in America as hate speech. And hence, you're not allowed to go into America because of it, unfortunately. And that's the only situation that I sort of feel myself at. To be honest with you, unintentional or not, posting hate speech, even on social media, can not only get you banned from countries, but very much the very things that you also love. It can be it's proven to be very bannable in some events, and that is just the way it is, unfortunately. I know for sure that there's people hating on me because of my mistakes. There's a couple of people that wanting to take me on in the street just to inflict danger onto me, ending up wanting to end me because of what I said, of the joke that I did, which I'm very regretful. And yet, I'm very sorry about it. So, you can comment what you like about it, You are free to comment what you like, what you want about it, just to add to this topic of hate speech and all that kind of stuff. So please comment down below. If you do like this video, make sure that you press the thumbs up. I'm trying to, talk about this thing that really, talk about hate speech. The best of my ability and all that kind of stuff with the examples. So you can add to the topic if you want. What are your thoughts on hate speech? I mean, do you think that is different to freedom of speech? Do you think that it's just the same as freedom of speech? Also, if you do like this video, make sure if you do want to support my content any further, make sure you consider to press that subscribe button. Even though there's more people watching this video than it is to subscribe to this video. Also, if you do like my video, if you do want to support me further and basically give me money or whatever, there's some links down the description below, so you can be the first one to know. Or actually no. So you can just do them, follow me or something like that. Press the bell icon so you can be the first one to know as well. Thank you for what. Thank you for finding out this rant on the difference between hate speech and freedom of speech and all that kind of stuff. I mean, thank you so much. If you want to friend me on PSN, my game tag is Bruzo21. And as always, thank you. And as always, until next time, may peace guide you all. Bye for now.